Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We are live in downtown Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino is your spot. And the definition of a 3-hour banger on the way today. Jeff Borzello, ESPN, on the World Cup coming up in 30 minutes. Mike Palm, Steve Wiss on the show later on in the World Cup as well. Anthony Irwin on the NBA offseason, in particular the Los Angeles Lakers. And Paul Stone, we're going to start college football previews with him today. He'll look at the AAC with best bets coming up in 90 minutes. And we want a lot of your reaction as well. You can get in touch. The best couple of ways to do so during the show on X, at VSiN Live, at Mitch Moss Radio, at Paulie Howard. Email is always open, ftm@vsin.com. We're pretty much all thinking the same thing. And the game's been over now for a little bit shy of 24 hours. But the question is still ruminating, like, setting the country on fire. How the hell was that a red card? Don't know. Now, some people have made the case in the last, give or take 20 hours, that by the letter of the law, it is a red card. But they are very few and far between. I don't want to sound like the complete arrogant Johnny flag-waving homer here. But that question has to be asked. And I know this. We have the answer to this question, and that is, what if Messi did that? Would he get a red card? Not only would he not get a red card, he won't get a yellow card. And what he did was worse.
Yep.
And yet USA gets completely bent over last night with that rule. I don't know how they did that, Paul.
That run we experienced last night on the air before one of the worst trades in NBA history. If you watched the end of the Senegal match and watched USA, if you tap out on the sport, I don't blame you and say I can't do it. Also, what happened to home field advantage? You think that's going to happen Sunday in Mexico? There's no chance. They'd riot and kill the ref if that happened. As we said at the end of the Senegal match, stay out of the way. Don't decide this. There's too much on the line. The other thing is, as Grant Paulson, who's been on the show many times and covers the Commanders, said, this is like the death sentence for a speeding ticket. The penalty is already he's out for the second half. Now he's out for the Belgium match.
Oh, yeah, only their best player.
Yeah, and it's an accident, and it wasn't even called on the field. So, again, hardcore soccer fans saying this, that VAR is doing a lot of damage to this sport. The best quote I have seen thus far is VAR is supposed to correct clear and obvious errors, not turn every 50-50 duel into a courtroom trial. Every time a ref is dragged to the monitor, the game loses part of its soul. And the other thing is we cannot have replays in super slow motion as well.
And by the way, that's in the VAR protocols. And I'm glad Taylor Twellman got this in the rule book and tweeted it out. Here you go. In the fine print, in general, slow motion replay should be used for facts, e.g. position of offense/player, point of contact for physical offenses, and handball, ball out of play, including goal, no goal. Normal speed should be used for the intensity of an offense or to decide if it was a handball offense. Normal speed. And so when they go to the VAR and they're going to slow it down like that, you know what the decision's going to be, but you can't. This is like what we've been saying for years in the NFL with like the physics and the roughing the passer stuff. My God, what are we doing here? Use your brain with something like that. 90% of the time, I'm throwing out roughly here, 90%, it's never going to be roughing the passer because you can't control your body and how you're going to come at the quarterback as a defender. Then you land on the guy at the same time. This was completely inadvertent.
Yes. What's he supposed to do with his foot?
Yeah.
A lot of people saying this too. You lose credibility. You absolutely do as a sport. 2 goals disallowed. The offsides will set aside. We'll attack that for another day. But just the frustration of what we've seen in this, where, I mean, people want to buy in and watch, but this is why you won't approach NFL with crap like this.
Yeah.
And it's the penalty is outrageous. For him to miss the second half, we have to play a man down, and now he misses the Belgium match, and you cannot appeal, but then there actually could be harsher penalties coming down.
It could get worse for him. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, and this will tell you again. So I'm watching the match live like everybody else with my wife. And as it's unfolding, I'm telling her in real time what the potential of the red card is going to mean. And that is he's going to have to miss the rest of this match, and they cannot replace him. And then, by the way, he's going to miss the next match. She thought that I was BSing her the entire time. She couldn't understand it. Like, that's the dumbest thing that she's ever heard. And you brought up Grant Paulson, radio host in Washington, D.C., who's been on the show many times, and he admitted, like, he's not a soccer diehard. And then a soccer diehard got back to him and basically said, clearly accidental, but it was definitely a red card. And Paulson said, I will defer to you. I assume you're right. Mm-hmm. I can't stress this enough. If that foul was worth playing 11 on 10 for a third of the game and losing your best player for the next game, I just can't get into the sport.
Yep. I don't blame him.
Can't do it.
If that's your reaction, I don't blame you either. And also how many goals have been disallowed as well. I got no problem with that. Kylan Mills, per FIFA rules, a yellow card is awarded for a reckless challenge. Tripping, tackling, grabbing, interfering during play. A red card is given for a serious or dangerous foul that goes beyond what a yellow card would merit. Punching, kicking, headbutting, spitting. It was not egregious. Shouldn't have been straight red. Sure. And it also, the number one thing on the search engine on social media was people looking up what's a red card as well.
Right.
So, but they also did a bad job on the broadcast explaining the ramifications of what happened as well. Once that happened, it's okay. Well, we're down, but he can't play against Belgium.
Well, and this was the takeaway from their rules analyst, Mark Clattenburg, giving his thoughts on the red card at that time.
The problem you've got is, to reach a criteria of the red card, it has to be some speed, there has to be some force, and there has to be some malice. This lacked that. But what it does have, which is what the element of the VAR is hiding behind, is it endangers the safety of the opponent because of that foot-on-foot challenge, which could have acted and ended with a broken ankle. So what they've done is they've looked at the consequence of the challenge. However, in my opinion, this didn't endanger the safety of the opponent. Balogun doesn't even look for the foul. It's one of them where it happens in a split second. He puts his foot down and catches the opponent. It was an accidental challenge, and for me, this did not reach the criteria of a red card, and it shouldn't have been a VAR intervention.
Yeah, let's use our brain here again.
Good job. There was also a referee who used to work in the Premier League and said the Messi play was much worse.
I know, because he said his cleats were up. And then you can come all the way down like that, and then when it happened last night for Team USA, the foot was already down, so it's like it makes sense again, because you can bring your force all the way down like that, like Messi did. And isn't it funny with the superstar treatment that he gets in the first match overall, and not even a yellow card, Paul, not even a yellow card. And last night's result was a red card when it was a total accident.
Back to what you said with common sense, and you're trying to take out the violence in a violent game with the NFL. These guys are running full speed. There was a big forearm shiver by a Bosnian player. How about the clutching and grabbing and holding jerseys? How about the Balogun, if would have flopped, probably would have got a penalty.
Oh, I retweeted this earlier today.
Yeah, they knocked him down. They grabbed his jersey. If he would have embellished, he would have got the call.
Sure.
They're holding and clutching for 2 hours, nothing.
And no call there. I mean, the defender for Bosnia is reached out like this. He's got his jersey, and he cannot make his progress. There's no flow allowed there, and he's impeding what he's trying to do on the pitch. Nothing. How do they miss that? It's right there.
Yeah.
Your eyeballs have to be on that as the focal point of what's going on the pitch at that time. And as, you know, when we're watching that Belgium match yesterday against Senegal, I'm thinking in my head, okay, when Belgium came back and they won the match, I thought that's a good thing for the U.S. because to me, Senegal was clearly the better team yesterday. And I think Senegal is better than Belgium anyway. And I'm thinking they caught a break against Belgium. Well, now they get no break whatsoever.
Oh, there's a big step up in competition Monday. These guys are top 10. But it's going to be difficult, and we'll see if we can overcome it. Arash Markazi, a staff member for Team USA, has a collection of photos on his phone showing fouls against them worse than Balogun's red card today. None of those were fouls, he said. They're outraged. They're livid. They should be.
Yep.
Pochettino as well. I mean, it's like there's no way that should be a red card. And how they get it, that's a big thing, though, too. I understand the superstar treatment. How about some little home cooking? That's, you know what people are watching and want to see. If any chance we could make it to the Final Four or the final, I mean, maybe these approach Super Bowl numbers. Who knows? We play Turkey, nothing's on the line, and 17 million people watch.
Paul, can you imagine? Now, this sounds crazy, but can you imagine what it would be if we would get USA and Mexico in the finale? That is the ultimate dream scenario. And then, unfortunately, it'd be played at MetLife, which would completely stink.
Yeah.
But I cannot even fathom if we would get that kind of a break going in. But there's also this, Dallin Cuff, who's been on this show several times every week throughout the course of the World Cup, also on a numbers game. He was on earlier today talking about the red card and how it was egregious in his opinion.
That's an egregious red. By the laws of the game and how it's defined, there are words like brutality, serious foul play, attempt to injure, violent conduct. None of that was there. In all honesty, the challenge came from Flo's back. Like, he can't even see what's happening there. And as he's trying to fight, as the defender gets around him, his leg, he's off balance. His foot has to come down somewhere, okay? He's off balance. The guy's coming from behind him. He doesn't even see him, and then he gets red carded for it. This is where VAR is flawed. If you see it in slow-mo and you break it down, you create something out of nothing. That is, if anybody's played the game, that is a kind of an innocuous challenge in the fact that he didn't try to do it. If you want to give him a yellow for it, okay, I'll give you that. A straight red, and I think one of your tweets said, I mean, it's ludicrous. It was an absurd final call. And when you look at not just the Messi play, okay, I know it's the easiest one to draw the comparison, and FIFA fixes things for Messi. He made a challenge. And when I watched that game, I watched that live, I go, ooh, that's not good. And I couldn't believe he didn't even get a yellow. I thought he should have. I mean, I thought they were going to review it. They didn't do anything. And you can say it's because Messi, but the difference is, guys, is he was running to make a challenge, and a late one at that. He put his heel up and raked down the guy's calf to foot, similar to Balogun, but his was intending to make a tackle.
I agree with him.
Oh, that's A+.
That is.
I think that's excellent.
Yep, it's great.
Yes.
Now, in terms of betting, we saw, I mean, how did they open up $1.50 against Bosnia?
That was a horrible number.
Yeah, clearly.
Because you know where the money's going.
Absolutely. And now it opened up basically a flat pick'em last night against Belgium. Well, he's not going to be able to play, and now USA is still taking money. And I would assume they're going to keep taking money over the weekend.
They take money against Spain, probably.
They might.
People don't care what the price is. It's USA fever.
At some point, this sucks. I think there's going to be value on Belgium.
Yes.
So, yeah, up next, there are so many ways to hate this trade for Boston. And the worst part might be this. I'll explain next here on VSiN.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Spain with an exquisite header during the break to go up 2-0 now as we are in the 68th minute and more now on the World Cup as we go out to the progressive guest line. Typically, when Jeff Borzello joins the program here to talk a little college basketball, that's what he covers primarily at ESPN, but he loves himself some football, and he joins the program now. Hey, Jeff, thanks for the time today. How are you?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you guys having me on to talk something besides college basketball.
For sure. We'll get your thoughts on Spain overall coming up in a few minutes. But overall, how strong of an opinion do you have on that red card last night?
I thought it was harsh to send him off. I mean, it was not high, particularly high. I mean, it was if he did it intentionally, obviously it would have been a straight red. It was not as high as, say, Messi's from earlier in the tournament. A lot of the other red cards we see at the club level over the past few months. I mean, it was obviously he raked down on his ankle, but it wasn't over the ball. It wasn't knee high. It obviously wasn't intentional. He wasn't looking at the player when he did it. I thought it was harsh to do it, especially given that, the ref was looking right at it and called nothing in real time. It wasn't like it was upgraded from a yellow to a red. There was no card and went straight from that to a red card. So I thought it was harsh to send him off.
Shouldn't there be an appeal process too? About is he really out for the next match as well? Can't we do something about that moving forward?
Yeah, I saw FIFA confirm last night that there's not even a mechanism for an appeal, which surprises me in a way. I mean, I don't think it would have been overturned on appeal anyway, given that VAR is the one that suggested it'd be a red card. But to not have any sort of path toward even attempting an appeal just seems kind of strange to me. I mean, the Premier League obviously has appeal processes. All these other club level leagues have appeal processes. It feels strange that there's not even a process or a path to a process at the World Cup.
Well, can you explain how good Balogun has been in this tournament, how good he was last night in that match before the red card, and how much they're going to miss him? How do they replace him against Belgium?
Yeah, he's been terrific. He's been on the ascendancy for the last couple of years, playing domestically. Been terrific in France, scored 15 goals this past season, and he's just offered a threat, both running in behind defenses, and also you could play the ball to his feet, and he's beating defenders one-on-one. I mean, he probably deserved a penalty kick at some point in last night's game. I don't think it was on the one where he dribbled past the defender and fell down. And there was one where he was being grabbed by a Bosnian center back as he was going past them into the box. So he's just been a nuisance throughout the tournament. And Ricardo Pepi is the like-for-like replacement as a striker against Belgium. I do think that, and I don't know if the U.S. will do this, but I think Pulisic could play some sort of false nine role.
Okay.
I mean, Senegal against Belgium yesterday, they played with Ismaila Sarr as their striker. He's not a natural striker, but he can drop in possession. He can make runs behind. He can finish. Pulisic can do that. I think he's more dangerous when he gets ball to feet on the wing and can beat defenders one-on-one. But I would feel that U.S. is going to be more threatening with him, just kind of occupying center backs, and you can move Tillman up to the wing. You can play Brendan Aronson. You could bring on an extra midfielder. I don't think U.S. has had much of a problem creating chances. I think that their wide rotations, bringing fullbacks inside, having McKennie make runs from deep. I think they've been terrific in possession. It concerns me. I mean, Pepi, he has not really been in great form. And, if those chances fall to him, the chances that have fallen to Balogun should fall to Pepi. I don't know if he's finishing them. I just feel a little bit more confident having Pulisic with his pace, his finishing ability, his ability to occupy defenders, draw them out, and then beat them one-on-one. I think that's at least an option. Again, I don't think that Pochettino will do it, but I think it's an option.
Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, talking World Cup, Team USA. Jeff Borzello, our guest, ESPN on the Progressive Guest Line. So USA opened up in the betting market about a pick 'em. They took a little bit of money. Surprise, surprise, against Belgium. Is there a bet to be made, you think, in that match?
I think the U.S. wins 2-1.
Okay.
I think that, Belgium has not looked good all tournament.
Right.
In my opinion, it's sort of their generation after the golden generation that has always underachieved, and they're doing it again. I know they came back and beat Senegal yesterday, but if the U.S. goes with Pulisic on the wing, I think he's going to create tons of chances. Belgium's right back has been a pair of 30-plus-year-olds, which I know I'm older than them, but it's very old to be going against Pulisic in the World Cup. And then Belgium Jeremy Doku will cause problems for the U.S. The Belgium left winger, plays for Manchester City, incredible with the ball at his feet. But they've just been inconsistent in front of net. Lukaku is a proven goal scorer, but I think, he's not a pace guy. He's more of I'm going to be physical. I'm going to wear you down. I think the U.S., given that they play with three center backs, Tim Ream is not a pace guy. I think he'll be up for the physical challenge. And I just don't know if Belgium is going to be able to just create enough chances to beat the U.S. Senegal had a ton of success just making runs in with their with their wing backs, which the U.S. has two terrific ones in Anthony Robinson and Sergiño Dest. So I just think tactically the U.S. has an advantage. And I think the press out of possession defensively, U.S. has been terrific in terms of forcing turnovers, pushing up high. Belgium is not great building out from the back. I think they're going to cause some turnovers like they did against Bosnia and create chances that way. And that's sort of been the way the U.S. has had success. You look at the first game against Paraguay, it was we're going to press high, we're going to force turnovers, and we're going to put 5, 6, 7 guys in the final third to overload the defense. And I think that they can do that again against Belgium.
A lot of people were down on Spain with their slow start. They're up 2-0. They look fantastic. It could be 5-0. What do you think of Spain's chances moving forward?
I thought they were going to win the World Cup before the tournament, and I would still pick them. I know France has looked a lot more explosive. Obviously, they have just the best collection of attacking talent that's ever been put together at the World Cup. I know Argentina has given their path to the final, at least. I know that they're a betting favorite, but I would still pick Spain. I think that the discourse on them being a disappointment or underachieving, I think it's gone way too far. If you look at their expected goals numbers and expected goals allowed numbers, they're still better than France and Argentina when it comes to that. They have not allowed more than one combined expected goal yet this tournament. And we're at 3.5 games now. They've allowed 0.7 expected goals total. That's most teams will allow that in a half. So they keep the ball. They don't allow anybody to really threaten them. And I think that's the type of of team, the type of system that would cause France trouble. If they just keep the ball from France, their midfield's incredible. I don't know if France is going to want to, especially those attackers, are going to want to chase the ball for 90 minutes and get back and defend for 90 minutes. They want the ball to their feet. They want to be running at the defense, and Spain will just keep the ball and not allow other teams to do that. So I still think Spain, to me, would be my pick to win it. And obviously a game against France in the semifinal, if they get there, would be probably the game of the tournament. But I don't know. I'm still in on Spain.
How about England, Mexico Sunday, where a lot of people are picking Mexico? I don't blame them, yet to concede. And Tuchel, the manager of England, comes out and said there's no way we can adapt and adjust to the elevation.
Yeah, England has been, I don't want to say the biggest disappointment of the tournament, but they have just not looked, the sum of their parts at all. They've been relying heavily on Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham for, game-winning moments, which they shouldn't have to do given all the talent that they have at their disposal. And some of that is brought on by Thomas Tuchel, who put the squad together. And going into it, usually when a squad is announced, there's always complaints who got left out, who got included. It usually doesn't really matter. It's usually the last 2 or 3 spots on a 25-man squad, 26-man squad that don't ever end up playing. For England, I think it's a narrative. If you watch their game against Congo yesterday, they were just screaming out for someone to make a play or advance the ball, progress the ball in the middle of the field. And Tuchel left pretty much all of England's best central progressors at home: Adam Wharton, Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, all these guys that he decided were not needed at the World Cup. Yesterday was screaming out for one of them. And the injuries at right back, Declan Rice, they're kind of rocking in the middle. He just looks so tired, fatigued, and he finished the game at right back. And maybe Tuchel has to go back to that from the start against Mexico. But given the way, Mexico's first, I want to say 30 minutes against Ecuador in the first knockout game was incredible. Mm-hmm. It was just, Ecuador was a team that had not allowed multiple goals in a game since 2024. So, and Mexico did it in 30 minutes. They were just, they came out, the crowd was incredible. Right. The physicality, the pace that Mexico was playing at, it was unbelievable. And they're not going to be fearful of England. England, like you said, Tuchel came out with the comment about the altitude. That's already sort of setting we're going to be fighting an uphill battle, no pun intended, against Mexico. So I think Mexico's going to be ready to kind of try to punch England in the mouth early, and sort of like Congo did. So I would still pick England, but I have not nearly as much faith as I did 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. I think that's the way most people feel about that. Jeff,
great answer.
Great analysis. Follow him on X at Jeff Borzello, ESPN. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of the matches today, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it.
You can still get Mexico to advance, by the way, at plus 125. I got to double check, Circa. I think they're even.
How about those comments? It's like he's already making the excuse.
Sounds like, hey, Erling Haaland, what's going to happen against France? They're probably going to win and then win the whole thing. Oh, okay, good. Win some, lose some. Next, this is how ridiculous yesterday was. They were 100-1.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Some more NBA offseason here. It has been hot and heavy. Last couple of days, we go out to the progressive guest line. Anthony Irwin joins the program, Lakers insider, host of Lakers Lounge. Follow him on X at Anthony Irwin LA. Anthony, thanks for the time today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just, covering yet another Lakers offseason.
There you go. It happens almost every single year the way it seems. So I'll ask you today, and we can get into whether or not this is the finished product or not, but as of right now, do you think they're better than they were last year or maybe even the year before?
They have 4 starters. I don't think they're better right now than they were last season. I think they're further right now from a championship than they were last year. I think they are significantly worse defensively, probably quite a bit better offensively, I think, collectively here. But I am really concerned about their defense, and they're working to open up more spending power so that they can acquire a Rui Hachimura or possibly a Jonathan Kuminga But they are way down in the athleticism department, and they have the wrong LeBron James on their roster.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I mean, you're left with Bronny right now, and I think they would be significantly better off and better positioned to win a championship if they hadn't annoyed LeBron James Sr. to the point where he was just like, all right, fine, I'm going to go find whatever offer I can get out there to be in a situation where I'm actually happy to play basketball for a living. And I think it was a pretty big mistake from the Lakers to I think, kind of take him for granted, not just this offseason, but in the few years running up to this offseason.
Yes. So would you agree with the comments and a lot of the reaction that it's almost depressing knowing that you're not on the Spurs or Thunder level and you're stuck? There's no moves you can make now in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, you either basically with the gamble that the Lakers are making is that, they've gotten so much younger, and they are hoping that through continuity and organic growth from these players that they can get better systematically up to the point where maybe eventually they'll get to the Thunder or the Spurs level. The problem there, though, is that, like, if it doesn't work out, to your point, there is no way to pivot. You got to hope that you could trade Austin Reeves for picks, and then you got to hope that you could turn those picks into the players that you need to compete at the level that you were at even last year. So, and by the way, this year is the year that Luka Doncic and his camp would, if they are frustrated, if they are disappointed by this offseason, this is the time when they would start moving chess pieces across the board to figure out where Luka's going to play next. So this season has to work out in their favor. And if it doesn't, then what?
Would you have given that contract to Reeves? Was that the right thing to do?
Yeah, because it was between that and losing him for nothing. And I still think, it's a 3-year contract with a 4th-year player option. It's for only 25% of the cap. It'd be one thing if it was his next contract and it jumps to 35% of the cap for 5 years. I could see where that would be the kind of contract that nobody would want to trade for. But if it doesn't work out this year, I was looking at the roster, and it's such a glaring hole on the wing that it makes me think that, if it doesn't work out this year, if it doesn't work out this postseason, that they would probably use Austin and some of the young guys that they have on a draft day in the near future, so that they could trade the draft pick that they would use that day to go out and get the wing help that this roster just so desperately needs.
Well, I'm glad you brought that back up. It's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Anthony Irwin is our guest. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. And the thought of Kuminga coming to the team or Hachimura coming back, are those realistic possibilities here for the Lakers?
I think so. One of them, I think, will wind up being on the Lakers when it's all said and done. Maybe both if the market completely dries up and they just say, all right, fine, I'll take it a 1-year minimum deal to completely bet on myself and put myself in a better situation after this. So right now what they're looking to do is trade, whether it's Jared Vanderbilt or Dalton Connect or DeAndre Ayton or Bronny James, some of those guys at the end of their rotation whose money they don't anticipate using this year. Most likely they would like to move Jared Vanderbilt. And if they can't trade Vando, then they would look to, they would stretch and waive and stretch him, which means you stretch out the amount of time that he sits on your books in dead money, but it lowers your cap hit this year. So you do that with him. Maybe you do that with DeAndre Ayton, and they're trying to open up anything in that ballpark of 10 to 13, maybe, like, if they really, really do everything absolutely perfectly, $14 million. And then they would go to one of Jonathan Kuminga or Rui Hachimura, and they would offer maybe a multi-year deal so that that player has bird rights at the end of the contract. And the Lakers would be able to then retain that player after that contract runs up. But that's what they're trying to do now. To what extent they'll be successful, that we'll just have to wait and find out.
What grade would you give Pelinka during the LeBron tenure and how bad they were before he got there. And I'm seeing a lot of, he played for the Lakers, but he wasn't a Laker, and they hold Kobe in such high regard. It kind of feels like what we're seeing with Boston, to have him that long and only win one title. And I thought he was going to retire a Laker. What do you think? What grade would you give how this all turned out?
Man, I would give, I think we have to separate LeBron from Pelinka here. So if you're just asking me specifically about Rob Pelinka's grade with LeBron James, I would say like a C-. Like it's barely passing, but you're not very proud of it.
Okay.
With like LeBron, I would say I would give him a B+ to an A, because he held up his end of the bargain. There's those stats that are kind of making the rounds right now that in the 8 years that he was there with the Lakers, he had its own, that 8-year run is its own Hall of Fame career. When you combine the points that he scored, the assists that he dished out, the rebounds that he grabbed, and the All-Star appearances and the All-NBA stuff and the championship and the Finals MVP, players who rack up all of that stuff tend to be Hall of Famers. So the Lakers got more from LeBron than, frankly, anybody thought they were going to. They just don't have enough to show for it.
That's well said. Great answer there. I'm looking right now at a Lakers win total for next season, Anthony. FanDuel has 45.5. Can you see them winning 46 games or more?
So this is the funny thing. I haven't loved their offseason. I don't think they're going to be very good in the postseason. But let's just pencil Rui Hachimura onto the roster, which I think we're fairly safe to do, whether it's him or Jonathan Kuminga, somebody at that level, a 4 at that level. I think now I would imagine the wins total jumps at that point, but I'm very confident betting the over on wins for the Lakers this year, because the offense is going to be overwhelming, and it's going to be so overwhelming to the point where on any random, night, a Tuesday night in Milwaukee, the Bucks, those teams like that aren't going to be able to cover for all of the shooting, all of the offensive creativity, all of the downhill drivers that you have when they're attacking closeouts. The Lakers are going to be able to score against anybody. Where I have real questions and where I'm really concerned about this roster moving forward is when you're in a 7-game series and all 7 of those games or all of those games in that series are played against an elite defense that is geared to you specifically, and an elite offense that is geared specifically to taking advantage of your weaknesses defensively. So regular season, I think the Lakers are going to be fine. I think they're going to win their division. I think they're going to, get home court advantage fairly comfortably in even in the West. But when they get to the postseason, that's where I'm really nervous about the defense.
I think that's a totally fair answer. And I just have shades of Luka's early days in Dallas.
Yeah.
Right, when they overachieved, and they were a lot of fun to watch, and they made it difficult for a lot of teams in the regular season. I can see that happening again with this Lakers bunch. Follow him on X at Anthony Irwin LA. Great job, Anthony. Thanks for the time as always. We appreciate that.
Thank you guys for having me. Anytime.
Well done.
Join us on the Progressive Guest Line,
Good
Lakers
answers.
Lounge host as well.
Yep. A lot of Laker fans didn't embrace him, but he certainly saved them, no doubt. They were awful before he got there.
Oh, yeah.
And at least he got him a championship, but maybe could have been more.
The late Kobe years into LeBron getting there?
No, but you can't hit on a draft pick. That's the other thing.
Well, actually, they did, and they got better after they left.
There you go.
Yeah. Couldn't develop anybody.
Ingram.
Julius Randle.
Yes.
Even Lonzo
Connect.
Ball before
I thought
he got
Connect
hurt.
would be good. $30 million in guaranteed prizes cash in this football season with 3 Circa Sports contest. Circa $1,000,000, 18 weeks. Circa Survivor, pick a winner each week. Circa Grandissimo for the high rollers. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere. $30 million guaranteed. CircaSports.com for details. Get the schedule while you're up there as well. CircaSports.com.
College football from a betting perspective. Next, professional bettor Paul Stone on the program. Going to start our conference previews with him. The AAC with a bunch of best bets from Paul. Next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Heavy duty here. Best bets World Cup. We go out to the progressive guest line. The meat man, Steve Wiss, joins the program, doing a hell of a job with the Because We Win podcast. Betting Weekly Studios are doing it every single day for the World Cup at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Meat man, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. What was your reaction when you first saw the number for Mexico and England?
Well, kind of shocked, but not shocked, because ultimately England are always going to be better, aren't they? Because of the reputation, because of their name, because of the public money. But at the same time, the initial line was ridiculous. I saw a book even as low as even money on England to win in 90 minutes. Ooh. You're not getting that now. But listen, it doesn't mean England can't progress. But I think that the Azteca Stadium is possibly the hardest place in world soccer to play an away game, apart from in Bolivia, where the altitude's double that. And it's because of the altitude, it's because of the fans. And England are going to have to, well, I say play the game of their life. They're just going to have to find a way. You know, you sometimes got to find a way in sport, haven't you? And that's what England are going to have to do.
How about their decision to leave late, and Tuchel concerned that we cannot adapt and there's nothing in the elevation's a big problem adjusting?
I think they should have either gone straight away on a plane to Mexico City after winning yesterday, or, in my opinion, they should get there as late as possible. But apparently they're not allowed to get there very late because of FIFA rules. FIFA rules state that they have to train within the vicinity of a stadium within a certain amount of time. So England are now traveling there tomorrow. Is that going to be enough time to get used to this? It will be, 72 hours tops for them? That's not enough, is it? But they're going to have to... England are better than Mexico. If it was played on neutral territory in, say, Europe, my God, England would be minus money, heavy minus money to win in 90 minutes. So England are the better players. But, Mexico have a lot of advantages.
Okay, so coming up in about 28 minutes right now, they're going to kick off Portugal and Croatia. What do you make of the numbers that are still available, and how have you bet it? How would you advise the audience betting it right now?
I think Portugal will qualify. I think Portugal will find a way eventually to win the game. I'm going 1-0 here. I like unders. I like under 2.75 goals, minus 117. Main reason is the weather. I mean, on the ground there in Toronto right now, it's supposedly, in the 90s, early 90s, real feel, 100 still. And it's 7 p.m. at night. It might get slightly better as the match goes on, but these teams aren't used to this sort of heat, especially Croatia. There's a lot of older guys in their team, and I think they're going to be struggling in the second half. But what Croatia can do to counteract that is have a low block and play really defensive, force Portugal to break them down, just like Congo did in the first group game that ended 1-1. So Croatia, I think, both teams are going to have to pass the ball a bit more and slow the pace down. So I'm looking at under goals here, minus 117, under 2.75 on the Asian line. And I actually quite like halftime 0-0 as well, plus 230.
Okay, wow, okay.
Good. All right.
And so then both teams to score, no.
For me, I don't think Croatia will score in this game. I don't think they offer enough, personally, at all.
Okay, how about another under with Argentina?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of weather-related here. In Miami tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time, you're bordering on, again, in early 90s, probably real feel close to 100. It's not probably a big problem for either team. Argentina, Cape Verde, used to this sort of heat. But Cape Verde, I mean, this is a team that held Spain to a 0-0 tie. Okay, the goalkeeper had the game of his life. Yeah. But Argentina might take them a little bit of time to break them down, And the other thing is when Argentina get ahead, say 1-0, Cape Verde aren't going to suddenly change their tactics and open up. They're just going to keep being defensive, keep trying to grind it out and stay in the game. And only in the last sort of 5 minutes, I think they would open up. So again, under the goal line, 2.75 here, fully covers us for a 2-0 Argentina win, which I think is probably the most likely score. If it ended 3-0 to Argentina, we'd only lose half the stake. I don't see Cape Verde scoring.
Right.
Argentina have a rock-solid defense, possibly the best in world soccer. 8 clean sheets in their last 10. Forget about conceding against Jordan. That was a nothing group game for them. I trust this defense to keep a clean sheet. You could bet Argentina win to 0 as well. But I think under 2.75 goals, knowing the way Cape Verde will play, hopefully they can stay in the game, maybe even sneak it to half-time for 0-0. But I'm not even worried if they concede a goal because nothing will change with their game plan.
All right. It's going to be hot as hell in Kansas City. Colombia and Ghana. How do you want to play it Friday night?
Anyone who watched England-Ghana, and that was 0-0, and Ghana are going to play exactly the same here, Ghana. Men behind the board, defensive, and they're going to say to Colombia, right, break us down. We need a sort of maybe a moment of magic, a long goal, or even a set piece to score. And maybe Colombia have got that in, say, Luis Diaz or someone like that to score a Golazo or a shot from outside the box. I think the best bet here is corners. I think Colombia corners over 5.5 because they are going to keep shooting at goal. They're going to keep pressing in the wide areas. Ghana are going to be on the back foot. They're going to be defending, putting balls behind the goal line. And again, similar to Cape Verde, if they fall behind Ghana, they won't change their game plan until the last 15 or 20 minutes. So Colombia are going to have a lot of possession. They're going to have a lot of territorial domination, but might not score that many goals because Ghana do defend well, as we saw against England. Usually that sort of combination brings corners. So that's the angle here. I mean, Colombia, again, I'm probably going to say 1-0. Colombia, 2-0. Colombia would be the most likely score.
Okay.
I think at some point, there's been quite a few goals recently. I think the next few matches, there's not going to be as many goals in this World Cup.
Very good. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. The Meat Man, Steve Wiss, our guest. Because We Win podcast, Betting Weekly Studios on the Progressive Guest Line. 2 matches Saturday. The early one, Morocco against Canada. And what is your bet here?
Morocco. I think Morocco money line. I think they've got way too much for Canada. Mm-hmm. Canada have had a lot of fun in this World Cup, haven't they? They won a knockout match. That was a horrible game against South Africa. It should have been 0-0, shouldn't it? But they found a way through. They're outside of Canada still. This match is in Houston on Saturday, midday local. I think Morocco money line -125. The best team in Africa. A team that drew against Brazil. A team that's just knocked out the Netherlands. A team that has technically won the African Nations Cup this year. And, you know, if people are talking about them as a dark horse to maybe even cause France some issues in the quarterfinal, I just think that they're miles better than Canada. It's like chalk and cheese in quality. Canada, they're all right. They've had some moments, but this is a whole different ball game for them now. I'm just a bit surprised that you can get the -125 on the money line. You know, I thought there'd be -150 as a bare minimum, probably even shorter. So for me, it's just a large golfing class. Morocco are a lot better. Mm-hmm. Canada don't have the players to match them over 90 minutes, in my opinion. And the African side are going to make it through to the quarterfinals.
Hope you're right. Sounds good. One more under. I don't see Paraguay scoring. France, Paraguay, Saturday, 4th of July.
Yeah, in Philadelphia. And this is going to be roasting. Probably the hottest game of all of them. You know, it's going to be 100 at kickoff in Fahrenheit. Probably real feel 110. I mean, this is absurd. Even France, I think, are going to get caught up by this. They can't play at their full pace. And we know how Paraguay are going to play. They're going to do exactly what they did against Germany, just defend and keep men behind the ball. And they've got a lot of fight about them, Paraguay here. This is even maybe half a sniff of a very small upset if they can somehow keep to 0-0 right until the end. I don't think they can. I think France have too much. But again, under 2.75 goals at +105, it's a sort of game France are going to have to work hard to break Paraguay down. The weather's not going to help them. I think we're looking at 1-0, 2-0 to France again. And if it was to get that 3-0 score, which they got against Sweden, then you're only losing half your stake, because I don't see this being a blowout. Because again, if Paraguay fall behind, they're not going to change their game plan either. So again, it's that under. I don't see Paraguay scoring, like you said, Paulie. It looks like a high goal line based on France. Everyone's thinking France win this 4-0, 5-0. My experience of these really hot games, really, really hot games, is the game slow down a bit. Mm-hmm. France get ahead. They don't need to rack up the score. They're happy to move on to the next match and to conserve their energy.
Very good. Me, man, you're dynamite.
Yes.
Thanks so much for the time. You guys are killing it on a daily basis at 11 o'clock Eastern. Thank you. Enjoy the games tonight. Best of luck.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Yeah, make sure you give him a follow on X at MeatmanSoccer. He joined us here on the Progressive Guest Line.
Predictions and props he tweets out before every match as well, and what he likes.
Yeah.
Going to be big now with the weather.
He likes these goals that we've had now, a lot of them, to completely flip. Right? He made the case there for just a ton of unders coming up. I think you referenced that earlier, like the better matchups that we're going to have moving forward probably is going to result in, more lower scoring games.
That's what I would think.
Mm-hmm.
But It's also hard to play it under, no matter 100 degrees, even with France and their firepower.
He has 1-0 Portugal.
Yeah, plus 550.
Does not see Croatia scoring in this match.
What was the price? 0-0 at the half? What did you say?
Plus 230.
Yeah, okay.
At halftime.
Yep. Weather, and not a fan of Croatia. Strong on Portugal here and low scoring.
We have a lot to get into coming up. We'll recap our bets from last night and tell you what we've added to the portfolio for tonight and beyond with in-pocket plays on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.